It's I got to say I enjoy it much better when we don't do Mark Get Set Go.
You like being taken by surprise?
I like just wondering if we're recording.
Because you never know until you actually listen to the final show. When did they?
Wow, Peter, you sound like you sound a little slow today.
Start? When did the buzz?
Peter, this is actually not the real Peter. It's the robot Peter.
Am I siloning a little bit? Am I siloning?
You were siloning a lot, but now you're back.
By your
welcome.
command.
You're
yeah,
welcome back.
It does sound robotic. It's I think that weird sort of Wi-Fi radio wavelength distribution that sort of I think can kind of weave in and out sometimes. Peter's in an odd spot in relation to his Wi-Fi source, and I
think I would like you to say wavelength distribution 4 times at some point throughout this show again.
Did I just make up my own physics?
What's the opposite of that?
You blew, you blew my mind a little bit.
Oh, good.
I'm in West Palm Beach. Greetings, Florida. It's a little bit cloudy. I expected you to roll out a little bit more of a red carpet for me, but I'm here.
Now, have you been to South Beach while you've been there, or is that too far to get? That's a long ways away, huh, from West Palm Beach?
I don't know where that is.
South Beach? Just go south. It's worth the trip, I promise.
That means nothing.
A nice insight into Dane's navigational techniques.
Well, what's the freeway there? The 405?
That's in Portland.
Oh, it is. What's the big freeway there? It's the 90, right?
95, I think.
95. I knew it had a 5 in it. Take the 95 south, and you'll get there. I promise.
Well, don't tell him to do things like that, Dane.
I'm going to tell you is Dexter. My problem is Dexter.
Oh, geez, here we go with the Dexter.
I've watched too much Dexter, and so everywhere I go in this town, and I know, I mean, this is not where it took place, but it looks exactly like a set of Dexter. So every turn I make looks like a crime scene. I feel like I'm going to see a skinless body. And
South Florida has lots of crime.
Oh my goodness, it's terrible. I actually was using Siri.
I don't think so much in West Palm Beach, which is probably pretty crime-free, but south of there.
I don't know. It's actually, I used Siri yesterday to look up. I said, Siri, what's the crime rate like where I am here in West Palm Beach? And Siri told me, and it's like, 1.8 times the national average, and which is, it's not great. It's not great. Lots of there's some violent crime. It's not. It's obviously overstated in the show Dexter, where, but that's the show that has me. It's a lot of retired people, and I think they're all targets.
Yeah, I don't know what the dynamic is really. I really love South Florida, but it is strange. You're right. I mean, there's a lot of retirees, a lot of in-migration from not only the retirees, mostly. I mean, there's a very New York kind of feel to it in a lot of places, but obviously I've been told before by people that Miami is considered the capital of Latin America, which I think is interesting. And if you see the bank buildings in downtown Miami, it's banks you've never heard of that are, Latin American banks that are headquartered there. And, I think it's a terrific place. When you get down to South Beach, it's more European / Latin American than it is, standard American. Like the tip is included on the ticket. There's sort of a lull in the afternoon, siesta time-ish, and there's a restaurant. Prime restaurant seating time is basically 8 to 10:30 p.m. It's a great place. So
I should give it another chance. I'm here for a wedding, and so it's one kind of shuffling around from event to event. I'm not going to be able to see the place. And the wedding, we're doing the full-on barefoot on the beach.
Oh, we're losing him again.
We're losing him.
I was asked.
Pete should just say very short phrases today. This should mostly be Pete's
yes
or no. Because I'm just not sure.
Really?
Yeah,
we love you, Peter. We just can't hear you very well. You kind of sound like you're being swallowed by the South Beach 95 corridor.
I know.
But okay, wait. Am I getting better? Hello?
Now you're getting really fast and kind of sounding like you're on crack.
Yeah, that's South Florida. I think it's cocaine.
So, okay, let's
Can you
switch.
hear me at all now?
Yes, we can hear you. Let's
You're
switch
good.
gears
Is
a
it
little bit, though,
catching up?
because, yes, it's catching up. Thanks for catching up with us. I want to hear, Dane has brought a campaign that he wants to talk about, and I kind of want to hear about it.
No, I just, there are actually a couple of concepts I was thinking about. We really want to talk today a little bit about, campaigns that arouse us. And and for me, it isn't so much like, what is it about that arouses you? It's in what, like, what is arousing about that? Did I say that backwards? I think I said that backwards. Like, in what way are you aroused? Meaning, are you?
I just think you like saying that word.
Are you just curious? Are you, I think that word has lots of connotations. So, anyway, I've just got to tell you guys now. I live in Salt Lake City, right? And I'm planning a move here in the next few weeks. That oh my gosh, I'm kind of
so
consumed
excited
by.
about it.
I don't know how to feel about it. Moving to Boise, Idaho, which is just a weird thing to say. And it's a fantastic town. But if you haven't spent good time there, oh, there goes Pete. Pete's gone.
I'm calling him again.
Do we need him? Come on. It's fun to pick on people that aren't here. We do it to you, Megan.
I know you do. I heard.
So I figured we should do it to Pete.
I think he's
Is that
back.
him?
Are
Can
back?
you hear me at all?
He's back.
We hear you about the same as the other time we heard you. Still a little rough and ragged. What you should say, Pete, is that you're up in the mountains, like up in a cabin like Ted Kaczynski, because that's kind of what it sounds like. Oh, it's not really working.
Anyway, Dane, can resume your.
I know I should stop watching the screen. We'll just know that Pete's sort of drifting in and out of our conversation. Yeah, and so what are all the things I'm going to miss about Utah? And I got to tell you, it's the Christmas shopping season. That's upon us. And one of the things that's very unique to this media market is this onslaught of what I just think are crazy, like Mormon kind of products that come around Christmas time.
What, like Mormon underwear? Like, what does that mean, Mormon products?
No, like, let's see. It's primarily the basic sort of books and paintings, but it really, like, they just come out of nowhere. Some of them it's sort of the same thing every year. Like, some church leader has written a heartwarming, touching recollection of life's lessons learned. I mean, there's probably 10 of those every year. But then there's this whole sub-market of, I don't know, like, let's see, teen vampire knockoff romance novels.
Is this a campaign?
It's not a specific campaign. It's an advertising concept that I just, I don't think about it until all of a sudden, Thanksgiving has passed, and I'm like, oh, here are those ads again.
I see.
Like, okay, so the ones that are interesting are like board games that somebody's crazy entrepreneurial concept, video games with really like low production quality, just the whole like, and they've sort of got 3 weeks a year to sell this, whatever it is. And
don't say it, Dane. I'm just gonna keep calling Peter. I just said don't say it.
Don't say that we're losing Peter. I know. Like, don't be distracted. Dane's very.
I'm here, and I could hear you, and then it hangs up on me.
Now we can hear you.
Here.
Okay, but
Well,
Dane
I was not going to try to interrupt because Dane, I jump in after being gone for apparently the important part, and there's Dane talking about, it's all about teen vampire romance novels, and I thought this is not the right show. I dialed into a different show.
That's what I'm trying to get from Dane. So his point is that at this time of year, where he lives in a very Mormon-centric community, there are major campaigns around the holidays that he finds arousing that he's trying to tell us about.
I'm aroused by Mormon Christmas ad products.
Well, and this is all because that book, right? The vampire virgin vampire book.
That part of it, right? Yeah.
Is all because it's all based in Salt Lake, right? Like she's from.
Oh, okay.
She's Mormon, and
Why you know that? I don't know, but
no,
okay.
Stephanie Meyer, the Twilight author.
Yeah, Twilight. That's right.
She lives in Arizona actually, but and I think the book takes place somewhere in Washington. But
it takes place. Yeah, it was filmed in Oregon.
Oh, didn't know that.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, so of course, yeah. So there's lots of very less talented writers with very less successful concepts, but they know they've got a built-in audience. Like, okay, they've read the really good one, but if they know it's sort of by and for Mormons, but it's sort of the same concept, but maybe it takes the morality concepts a little farther. Anyway, you don't have to know anything about the products. Just know that for a few weeks in December, you're going to be hit with an onslaught of ads for products like this that have just sort of this very narrow window to really do anything at all. And here's, I think, part of why I get so I'm always so entertained by this.
Wait, go ahead. I need an example. I need a product.
Oh, all right.
The teenage vampire.
Oh, I don't have one of those. There is a new Book of Mormon video game that I noticed here. I'm looking at the Deseret Book website. A new Advent calendar. I don't know, guys. I mean, books.
Advent calendar. Okay, well, I guess I
have to go to the teen section, teen romance, whatever section, to find a specific book example for you.
Please don't. Okay. Please don't.
Right.
No, I'd rather. But we've talked about my mom's cooking blog. The funny thing about my mom is that she's always invented things, and so we grew up playing like board games, for instance, that my mom would invent. Well, she never took it to the level of
this explains a lot about you.
Oh my God, it so does.
So I hear something and I just think Mormon housewife in the suburbs, crazy family game concept, just wanting to make, like her splash on the world. And here it is Christmas time and somebody's picked it up and is promoting it. And that's why I have this whole connection to, like my own childhood and crazy just game inventions and book inventions. My mom also wrote lots of different little books that never got finished. So I get a kick out of it, guys.
That's
I'm about
awesome.
Culture. And I got to tell you, from an advertising perspective, I don't have ad examples for you because I don't think anyone would get it or care or really get the same enthusiasm. But I get a huge kick.
It's that subculture. You are part of the Mormon subculture, right? I mean, that's what we're talking about. Is like smart demographic targeting.
Yes.
But
right.
But you can nationalize it, right? Look at what's going on right now with the Muppets.
Oh, that is a segue,
wow.
I guess.
No, it's totally right on, because what we're talking about is like there is who is the Muppets really for? This Muppet revival. Who is it really targeted toward?
Dane.
Right? And you and me.
Right,
and,
yeah.
Right,
that grew up with the Muppets, right?
Right. We're not Mormon, we're Muppet. Right? They have done an absolutely brilliant job of reinventing the Muppets in such a way to give parents a reason to drag their kids to this thing the kids otherwise could care less.
Exactly.
They could not care less. I want to speak correctly. They could not care less until they see it and realize it's awesome.
Well,
that's a good point, but those don't always
awesome
work.
Things.
Okay, so that's where our points diverge.
Yeah,
your things are not awesome.
Okay,
mine is.
Okay, not
but
awesome
at the same time,
because they have a captive market, they can kind of get away with it.
Well, and at the same time, think about the Smurfs. That is not awesome, and they try to do the same thing. So,
it was not awesome when I was a kid. Why would I drag my kids to this not awesome thing?
I like
you
the
like the Smurfs?
When I was a kid, I don't like them now, and I would never see the movie in a million years, but I would totally go see the Muppets.
The Smurf humor was not targeted toward, like, the reason the Muppets works, and I'm going to totally derail us here. The reason the Muppets works is because it was always smart humor.
That's right.
It was humor that was juvenile for children, but for adults, for my parents, they would chuckle at it, right? There were things to laugh. It was always there were always the sort of hidden jokes that were really just targeted for adults. And now that I'm an adult, I get those better, and I like to see my kids laughing at the fact that they're puppets.
That's right. I agree.
The Amazing Gonzo eating a rubber tire to the chorus of Flight of the Bumblebee sets me off every time. The Amazing Gonzo. Rubber tire.
That's pretty funny. I'll give you that. That's pretty funny. I think it's
right,
the flight
so-
of the bumblebee that makes it funny.
It is.
Okay, I actually want to talk about another campaign. I don't know if you guys saw this, but okay, so as I've been doing a lot on Facebook, my next iteration is going to be looking more about at gaming, because that's, there's a lot happening between Facebook and gaming, and then there's a lot happening within gaming. So anyway, I saw this new campaign from Discover Card with Zynga that I thought was interesting, because they are launching the first ever brand sponsored extension of Farmville from Discover Card. It's called Winter Wonderland, and it allows Zynga players to build a customized farm and help, get this, an orange Yeti use a Discover Card for his holiday shopping.
Wow.
Yeah. So they also, there's all sorts of weird, not weird, but small incentives as well. So Discover's handing out free virtual gifts for playing the game. And the ability to earn Discover branded farm items. And
what are those exactly?
I don't know. It doesn't say.
I want a hoe with a
Discover hoe. Well, it might be. I don't know. Maybe it's a Yeti. Who knows? And then they're also Discover's also tapping their existing card holders to double their bonus rewards on virtual Zynga currency. So if they have $25 into rewards, they can turn that into a $50 Zynga game card. So it's a limited time. It's only 2 weeks, but I thought that was interesting because, we've seen some cause stuff sneaking into gaming and Zynga. So it's interesting to see, brands going and just seeing how that will play out in that social gaming space. So I thought it was interesting.
I feel like an island in this discussion. Right?
What does that mean?
Because tell me I'm wrong. I feel like Farmville is dumb.
It may be dumb, but there are so many people that play it. I agree with you.
don't-
It is not my favorite. However,
It's not. You're not even. This is the problem. We can't use the word play with this quote game. It's not a game. There is no skill involved in this game. There's nothing to it.
is that the definition of a game? Is that there's skill involved?
That there's play involved. There is no play. This is a harvesting event. Like, it's all it is. It's not a game. I hate that it's called a game. There's no process for sort of learning and growing a skill-based sort of thing. It's as bad as Monopoly, which is also a lame excuse for a game. Like, it's right. Like, there's no strategy involved in this game. That's what I'm looking for.
There's strategy involved in Monopoly. What are you talking about?
Well, not early. No, Monopoly is a terrible game. It takes 12 hours to play.
It is a terrible game, but there's
Everybody
strategy
ends
involved.
up hating one another as a part of it, and the strategy doesn't come in until like the third act, like when everybody's already ready to kill each other.
What's the worst argument you ever got in over a Monopoly game?
Well, I don't really remember. I do. I remember the event. I tossed the board. I did a full-on dramatic.
Did you
toss the
really?
board.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, this
16 years
explains a
old.
lot.
I was a total drama. I want to say drama queen, but that's not really appropriate. I was very dramatic, and I tossed the board. It was big.
That is big.
That's a big one. Okay, well,
Maybe that does
please
explain
continue.
why I hate monopolies. I actually quite like Monopoly. I play it all the time, but it's not a good game. Like, it's functionally, it's not when you look at good games.
That might be a little bit of a subjective judgment, Peter.
Well, okay, since this isn't really about gaming, I want to get back to why Farmville is why I'm frustrated with this campaign and why I feel like an island. Because,
okay, go ahead.
Because I don't see a connection between credit card holders and
it's the Yeti. The Yeti is a connection.
Well, no. So here's the thing. This is the Jennifer Murillo. Jennifer Murillo is the vice president of brand communications at Discover, tells Marketing Daily. This whole idea, we know our card holders are very interested in social gaming. This whole idea is about building on that. What value does this brand promotion give me as a card holder?
It allows you to turn in your rewards points for a $50 game card.
I feel bad that I tuned out.
Game card that buys me a freaking hoe with the Discover card logo that I can't touch.
a good start.
I mean, I'm just all over this whole thing about value back to the customer, and Facebook or these games, the Zynga games, this game in particular, Farmville, Cityville, all these games, there is no value in the first place. Adding cardholder benefits to buy you things that have no value makes no sense to me. It's mean-spirited, and like I don't like it. I feel it is a shameful promotion. That's how I feel. There, it's out. It's out.
Hysterical. Okay, but if we had a Farmville diehard on the line, they might think differently. And you know, that Farmville game holder, I am going to venture to say, is a very different demographic than you are, because they tend to be older women. That is who plays Farmville. That is their demographic. Yeah, so maybe this is a good. My aunts
are all over Farmville. There's Cityville. I'm constantly blocking somebody get me carrots.
Oh my gosh, just block the whole application, dude. You don't have to block each individual.
No, I block that, but you know, it's blocked. But there's so many. These games are like rabbits. You know, the games, you block one, but there's always another one that they're exploring. Cityville, Farmville, Supercutsville. Oh my gosh, it's the Ville built around frozen yogurt store.
I am not arguing in favor of these games. I am just pointing it out as a campaign that is interesting.
Oh, you are the vessel rage right now. That's the truth.
Seriously, don't shoot the messenger, man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you done got.
I got gotten.
Okay, so
what's your fabulous advertisement that you brought to us that I can rail on?
No. It's I just find it. Okay, you're right. I should totally rail on this. Are we done with the?
Yeah, we're done. We're done because I feel like I've just gotten beaten upside the head with a Yeti, so
it's
I'm
not
good.
It's about Jennifer Murillo.
Anyway, okay. So what's your fabulous campaign?
Mine is a commercial. You may need to take a moment to watch this. If you have not seen it, I want you to go look for it's the Samsung Galaxy. I think it's the Galaxy S2 commercial that is targeted toward iPhone users.
Oh, I think I have seen this actually, but I'm going to look.
So
it up.
the concept is that I think if you just
which one is it? Well, I've got like 5 of them pulled up. Is it the fish tank, the car, or just the generic?
The next big thing 60 final. If you can do a search for next big thing, is all one word, and then 60, and then final. And that'll get you to the ad. It is an ad. So the idea is a whole bunch of iPhone users. They all have their white headphones, their earbuds in their ears, and they're all using iPhones, right?
Oh yeah, I've seen this.
And they're waiting in line in New York City for the next big thing. And these people are all talking about how great 9 hours to go. Oh my gosh, it's so great. I'm so creative.
Otherwise known as Peter Wright.
Okay, stand down.
There you go. I guess you got that one in.
And it's brilliant. And then the ad goes on, and the iPhone users see somebody using this new Samsung Galaxy Nexus 2S phone, whatever, and they say, "Oh, can I see that? What's that? Look at that screen; it's huge." Guy says, "Can I see that?" And the Samsung user holds it up and says, "Can I see it with my hands?" It's brilliant, and it goes on to make fun of people who wait in line to get the next big thing from Apple, and highlight their the big screen Samsung Galaxy phone. So and I wonder who the target is for this ad.
It's the haters. It's the haters that are not going to wait in line and don't quite get why people like you, Peter, do wait in line and kind of feel like they should be waiting in line for that product and then might eventually get it, but they're not completely sold on it. They're not the Apple diehards. They're the undecideds that could be swayed either way. And I actually think it's I've seen a lot of like really terrible commercials dissing on Apple products, but this one I actually thought was, funny. It's not going to compel me to buy a Samsung phone, but I did think it was funny and well done.
Well, I definitely think there's a huge market for people who at this point have never had an iPhone or never had an iPad and never really bought into anything about Apple's, spending more money, I guess, for Apple products, or never had any consideration of pulling away from, say, a Windows operating system or whatever, to a Mac. There's a huge group of those people that I think something like this would speak to. I remember being part of this like email conversation. I think I told you guys about that whole heavy metal conversation. And it was right before the iTunes Match was released. And they were making a big point about how awesome Amazon's like music cloud service was. And what was the other one that's out there? Amazon and
Google.
What is it, Pete? And Google.
Music.google.com. Yeah.
And there was a big point about like how much better that is than iTunes. And no one had really bothered to really understand what the iTunes iCloud Match service was going to be like. They were actually quite unaware. And like, man, this is so great. You buy your album from Amazon and there it is on the cloud and you can have it, but it's not multi-device. So, there's obviously this huge benefit that was coming, but you get that sense of these, that there's a huge population of people, I think, that are wanting to be spoken to. Like, aren't you glad you held out? Aren't you glad you never jumped on that bandwagon because you're being rewarded?
Yeah. Well, I think that's it. It's because, okay, I'm with you, Megan. First of all, I watched the ad and I found myself laughing hysterically. It's
kind of funny.
Really clever. It's really clever, and it hits all of the best beats, right? I mean, that when the guy sitting down in the camp chair says, "Oh, I could never get one of those phones. I'm a creative."
Yeah.
and the guy next to him says, "Dude, you're a barista." Like it hits all the right beats about the stereotypical, if inaccurate, iPhone user, right? And I found it really funny. And I'm thinking to myself, who made this ad and why? Who are they really talking to? It feels to me much more like Dane said, a justification ad. Like it's an ad to make us feel okay for not getting on the bandwagon and to start our own cool crowd. But what happens if Samsung nails it and just crushes it and suddenly people are waiting in line for the Samsung phone?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't.
This is one of those
that.
ads. Well, I'm not waiting in line yet, but I am. I will say that it seems. You always see this right before the, I don't know.
Well, it's been.
Position.
It reminds me that it's been a while since Apple has done an ad that was snarky and funny and poked fun at the competition.
Well, here's the thing, though. The Mac ads, this is one of the things that I think is a really important piece. And the Get a Mac ads, right? The Mac versus PC ads.
Right. Those are the ones I'm talking about. Yeah.
But see, there's a subtle difference here. Those ads were anthropomorphizing the machines, right? John Hodgman played a PC, not a PC user. Justin Long played a Mac, not a Mac user, right?
True.
They were the personification of those machines. What Samsung did by poking at the people who wait in line is make fun of the people, not the device.
That's a good point.
And so it's like, okay, you can have your sucker punch. You can have that. I'll give it to you. It's funny. You got it out of your system. But who are you really trying to sway by making fun of people who use these products? You're not going to get those to switch.
Well, yeah, because now you've sort of you've excluded
a group. Them off.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, but they never would have been a consumer for you anyway. So it almost doesn't. It's irrelevant. If they pissed you off, if they made you laugh, Peter.
Well, that's a calculation they've made.
Yeah.
It may or may not be a good calculation, I think.
Exactly.
I got to say, reading this Steve Jobs biography, I always had the sense that Steve was involved in the advertising on some level. I didn't know how much until reading through the book. And it's a funny thing because, and I don't know, I wonder how you guys feel about it, but when you're in a position of saying you're a VP of marketing for a company or something, you really kind of hope the CEO is not involved at all, or is just sort of there to sign off on the concept or to give you, but to really dig in. And in most cases, what's scary about that is, you're trying to balance things like your budget and are you getting at the end of the year, are you going to get a return on your budget? you're trying to balance the creative concepts with the sales, and it's a lot to sort of manage. And oftentimes a CEO will step in with personal opinions about color usage or, like what kinds of people to have in an ad or something like that. And you're just like, dude, just wait until we have results and then give me your opinion. But the level that he got involved, I think, is for a lot of marketing and people in a lot of agencies very scary, a very scary concept that a CEO would. But it's so fascinating to read about, and the examples I think they gave in the book, in most cases, he got it really right by getting that involved. And it was very subtle things like what kind of a voice, to speak about the iPad with and why.
Right.
But I mean, the involvement was intense, really intense.
Well, that will be interesting now that he's gone. What, if they're able to continue on that.
I think there's a really interesting story going through the iPad ads, because I think the ones he shot down weren't terrible. They almost ran. There are a whole series of ads that were a day before running or a week before or whatever. They almost ran, and they weren't bad. It wasn't like you could see like, oh, those are terrible. I think there probably are a lot of people who are happy to have a little more free reign. I mean, there are a lot of examples of his last minute tweaking, making a huge difference, and for one reason or another. But in other cases, there are a lot of creative people with great concepts who were shut down, and may not have had the fortitude to recover from it. Because that's tough. It's tough when it's a creative concept. I mean, well, anyway, I'm off track, but I just, it's interesting, like with Samsung, this whole calculation here of excluding a segment of the consumer base because your calculation is they didn't really matter anyways, and they never would. You just wonder at what level were the CEOs or the really top executives involved in saying, yep, let's do it. That's a great, let's do that.
I think they'd have to be, don't you think?
No, I don't. I've been thinking about that, and I think there is a visceral difference between the way Apple has been set up as an organization exclusive of Steve Jobs, that there is one business unit, really. It's the Apple as a company, there's one profit and loss statement, right? Everybody has that sort of visibility for bringing great products to market. That is not the same at, other major organizations. And the fact is, Dane, and I'm thinking Dane and I have worked on campaigns together in another life where the CEO has no visibility of big strategic, plans. As Dane says, he walks in and says, oh yeah, that's great. The focus is on the budget, not on the creative. And this ad that has gone viral for Samsung is part of such a big picture with so many other phones that are on the market from this company around the world. This is just a drop in the bucket to their overall campaign, and yet the ripples are fairly broad. It has fairly broad reach just because it pokes fun at such a key kind of demographic. And that I think is my underlying takeaway. Dane just said it, is, you're making a calculation to write off a significant portion of your potential demographic. And your choice is, the other side of that calculation is, we could really make great phones and focus on ways that would win over the broad audience, rather than write off one audience and never have a chance with them, or not have a chance with them in the long term. I think it's the calculation of destructive or constructive. How are you going to choose? Are you going to go for the short-term win and be snarky and destructive, or are you going to go for the long-term gain and just make great products and talk about them on the merits?
Although I think what gets tough is that if you're if you want to allow some creativity and you say we want a humorous approach, it's such an easy target that I'm sure it was hard to slow down, and there may have been a lack probably of conversation about whether it was destructive or constructive, because I think it's pretty common if you say, we really want a humorous tone here, and it's a highly competitive market, and we are, David versus Goliath in a sense, even though as a company, they're a Goliath.
It's the opposite.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think I think the risk starts when you say, we want to be humorous, because if you look at that approach in a lot of companies, it's you kind of, you oftentimes end up with the younger folks at the ad agency with a lot of edgier sort of concepts, and a lot of, I don't know, you sort of have to take it with a grain of salt on some level to allow it, to develop and happen and execute. So I don't know. So I'm with you, Pete, and just in terms of, I think this probably only went up so high in terms of how it was really batted about in the boardroom or whatever. I'm sure it wasn't. I'm sure it was, developed at some level of the company and executed, and, and like you said, so were a lot of other ads for a lot of other products and a lot of other divisions all around the world for this company. Mm-hmm. So I don't know.
It's a funny example of an ad that I think can be a win and a loss at the same time. It's a win because it's really fun and creative, and it's one that gets people talking, and it's clever, and it gets people talking about Samsung. I'm not sure that it gets people talking about the Galaxy. That's not my takeaway. Is not, gosh, I should check out the Galaxy phone. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and you're either in the market for it or not, I guess.
Yeah.
Speaking of viral, though, can I mention one that a campaign that's really arousing me?
Yes, please. Sure. I love
that. I'm loving the little viral efforts, I guess, of the new Portlandia season 2.
I haven't even seen it. That's so sad. Man. I live here. Have you seen it, Peter?
No, not a bit.
Have you? You guys haven't even seen season 1?
No.
Oh, I saw season 1. Stop it. It was dumb.
Oh, it wasn't dumb. It was hilarious.
Most people around here think it's dumb.
Yeah.
Well, that's too bad, because it's hilarious. And it was renewed for season 2. And I think it's hilarious. And I think it's funnier if you actually have some experience in the Northwest. But I don't think it's a joke about Portland. So I don't know why, I think it's sort of like the joke is on. There was an interesting interview with both Fred and now I can't remember her name. Anyway, the other woman from Sleater-Kinney, and they were talking about the fact that this sort of represents their id in a way. Like if they are this way, if they nurture their most like selfish, self-absorbed, overinformed selves. It's a funny show, but anyway, I guess that's a matter of opinion. But they've been leaking these sort of like viral spots, like sketch spots, and then in Spin Magazine they've got sort of a background interview of them as like Norwegian death metal fans. So funny. I don't know. I've been noticing them. I mean, they've just started cropping up in the last week or so. And where did I see? I was actually reading the Oregonian, OregonLive.com, that I found the most recent one that sort of makes fun of all the different recycling bins for each separate little product. It's really well done. I don't know. I get a kick out of it.
We resemble that.
They're doing a good job with that.
Yeah, it's funny. I want to check it out. I think I've been on the road and not really attentive to my memes. But the whole, I think put a bird on it just sort of is catching up to Portland. Like, we're sort of a season behind, and maybe it takes a year for everybody to find that last year's humor funny. Enough time has passed. Time needs to do what it needs to do.
I don't know. Give it, yeah. You better check it out, I guess, because I just feel like you guys are missing out on something.
All right.
We'll check it out for you,
but
Dane.
I'm trying to keep this under wraps, but it makes me, I'm thinking of a Salt Lake Landia.
Oh my gosh.
Saltlandia.
You could Saltlandia.
Saltlandia.
You could totally do that.
It would actually be
your thing.
Oh yeah, there's so much.
That's almost that's fish in a barrel, man. That's almost too easy.
That's true. Fish in a barrel.
You'd think somebody's tried it. Actually, there's a local show that I can't remember what they're calling it, but they're doing like once a week of oddities about our culture, about the Salt Lake culture. I haven't watched it yet.
There are none of those. There's no oddities there.
Oh, you guys should check out the book. You know what? I need some stimulant beverage this morning. My synapses are a little slow to fire.
I was actually feeling like you were doing pretty well.
No, well, except for my recalls, a little short. I should. Maybe I'm not going to say this. Maybe I should get you this book for Christmas. I'll just.
It's
there
totally on my list.
Fantastic things about the culture here to make fun of. I think it's great. Some people get a little perturbed when they feel like they're on the outside looking into this place, but I think it's hilarious.
You're gonna miss it.
Oh, I'll miss it a lot.
Just the humor of it when you relocate. Are you moved yet? I mean, when are you actually hit the road? Dane is relocating studio Strike 10 Media to Boise.
Something like that. Yeah. 3 weeks is the
3
plan.
weeks.
Right at the height of Christmas procrastinator shop season.
Wow.
That's a horrible time to move.
It is.
I'm not gonna lie.
I'm not feeling good about it. Oh well.
We're rooting for you, Dane.
Thanks.
So I think we did a good job today. We've covered a couple of campaigns. We sidetracked a little bit. Peter had a rant, and we got Peter back from the digital
it's always fun. It's always
95
fun
corridor.
You can get Peter to just really throw down self-righteous on, a campaign.
I can't help it. There are things that need to be just hated on a little bit. And I'm generally not a hater, but I can.
You can be a hater, though.
I can be.
But it's so entertaining when you get all upset, so I don't mind it.
Farmville. How dumb.
How dumb indeed.
What?
How dumb indeed. And I may have successfully cut you off from going off for another 5 minutes about it.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Dane. Don't get him started again.
I thought you said Farmville, how elite. That is not what I said. Oh, man.
Don't get him started. Don't get him started, Dane.
Right.
We're wrapping up.
All right.
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
Peter,
Thanks,
have
guys.
a great time if you end up in South Beach, have a great time there.
Come home alive.
Come home alive and tanned.
I'm just on the lookout for rogue hurricanes.
Those are actually in Utah.
Yeah, we had one of those. Yeah. And if you make it to South Beach, you got to let me know, and I'll tell you where the good Cuban food is.
He's not
I'll
going
be
to
sure
South
to do
Beach.
that. I'm not going to South Beach, but I'll let you know.
Have a great time.
Well,
wait by the
Cuban
phone.
food's actually just in downtown Miami.
All right.
On Ocho Street. It is. Check it out. It's
Ocho
awesome. Okay. A wrap and a bow.
Okay.
Bye.
Love you, boys.
See ya.
Bye.